Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, and how are you? I hope you are having a great Tuesday, and I hope Monday was good for you. I know they can be a little rough sometimes. Oh, I had a little rough Monday, but that's okay. Can you guys see here? Yeah, okay, you're good. So today I like to call Tender Tuesday, and why? Because we kind of get through the week and we don't really think about being kind and tender with ourselves. We just can be a bit critical and we can get really judgmental about what we're going through. Like, oh, I can't believe you did that. That was so stupid. And so it's important to take a look at what is the proof that we use to tell ourselves that we're not good enough. And sometimes you'll begin to notice as you ask yourself that question, there's no real proof. I've just been saying it like it's a fact. Like we have this expectation that we're going to fail. And so, as a life coach and a hypno coach, I work with people to be able to take a look at what thoughts are you thinking? How can we shift out of those thoughts and move into a new space? Well, asking yourself, what is the proof that I'm using, really can make a difference. So, for example, the proof I was using was I'm not as good as. And then you begin to notice, well, I'm using comparisons. Ooh, no, no, no. So you're going to notice comparisons. That might be proof that you're using. Number two, you might take a look at what skills you don't have and beat yourself up for it really bad. Well, if somebody doesn't know how to do something, does it really mean that they're not good enough? No, it just means they don't know how to do something. So take a look at what skills you have and maybe what skills you need, and you can gain those skills. You can learn those skills. So then it's like, oh, I was using that as proof, and that's not really proof that I'm not good enough. You can also take a look at, you might not be comparing yourself to others. You might be comparing yourself to your expectation. So number three, take a look at your expectations. And I'm writing this down so that way I can review it again with you and also jot it down in the post so you can also jot down this information yourself. So when you're looking at your own expectation, so if you had an expectation, well, I'm going to do this by 20, or I'm going to do this by 30, and if I haven't done that, then I've just failed. I'm just not good enough. I'm just not. And you can see that you're comparing yourself to an expectation that you created. When you set goals, they're great, but they have room to move. So if somebody had an expectation and they didn't match it, what would you say to that person? If you had a loved one that was like, oh, I was supposed to have done this, or I've been working on this my whole life, and you see they're dealing with pain. They're really struggling. They're really in um, this place of despair. You can realize that's painful. They're really putting themselves in a dark place. Then you can allow yourself to notice, well, what's true? And then you'd say to them, what's true? You'd be like, hey, you've been busting your hump your whole life. You've been working and you've been trying and you've been going and you've been at it. So this isn't because you weren't doing the work. This isn't for lack of effort. This is because you had incorrect expectations on yourself. You thought you were supposed to get it down. You thought you were supposed to have the skills you needed or the money that you needed or the support that you needed just like that. Or you're expecting yourself to be at a level that is taking you some time to learn because you've had different things that went on. You've had different limitations and different challenges and different things that stopped you in your tracks. Those would be the things you would say to your friend, your loved one. Instead of helping them beat themselves up, you'd be like, no, man, you might want to make yourself buy that, but I'm not buying that. And so these are things that we get to take a look at that we're doing with ourselves. And once you become aware of that thought process, you can shift it. You can allow yourself different proof. So for example, that same way of practicing, well, I can see others and they're where I want to be and I'm not, so that means I'm not good enough. Instead, you can make that mean something else and realize one doesn't mean the other. You can allow yourself to realize, well, that person is 20 years older than me, or that person did have these mentors that I didn't have, or that person has just this amazing skill process that I don't have. And it allows you to be able to see, okay, what did they do to get there? What support did they need to get there? Can I get that same support? And how do I get that same kind of support? And they may have had, say, for instance, a whole family support of the tools that were needed, and it's just you. And so you can't compare yourself to a whole family of supports. So you can start to allow yourself to see, okay, so this is how I can get that information, and this is how I can get that information. And I can see that I do need to get support here, and it will cost this much and this much time. And so you can start to create a plan of action, realizing that not good enough was incorrect, and realizing what it should have been saying is, I didn't have the skill I needed yet. I didn't have the tools that I needed yet. I didn't have, and you can start to fill it in, creating safety for yourself, creating understanding for yourself, being tender and kind with yourself. Realizing, okay, instead of using my time and energy to beat the heck out of myself, I'm going to use my time and energy to set up an action plan to do what I need. And I have had many business coaches and life coaches. And even when there were things that I had to deal with that were deep, I had my therapists. And I still go to see them depending on what's needed. And so it's important to allow yourself, if you find yourself using that proof of comparison of other people, allow yourself to shift. Allow yourself to realize, whoa, I was practicing this negative process. I was practicing this negative thinking of using this person. And you may not be comparing yourself to somebody else. You may actually be taking what somebody else said to compare you. Like, why aren't you like this person? Or why aren't you fast enough? Or you're too slow. And you just take that and you replay it. So it's still using comparison of what others have said. So it allows you to go, oh, I don't need that. That's like carrying a bag of trash on your shoulder and thinking you need to carry it around, and now you can just drop it and hear it fall. I don't need to carry that anymore. And you'll feel lighter and you'll feel freer. And it's like, whoa, I've got my life back. So removing that comparison takes away the proof. But the most important thing is to begin to notice what proof you're using and jot that down. Notice it's just a thought. Like Tony was mentioning, I feel like I'm a burden. So he was saying to himself, these people think I'm a burden. So we can use others in comparing them in how you're not as good, or comparing, okay, this is what they think about me versus, no, no, no. You're just unintentionally using them to hurt you. And they might not think that at all. That's not even on their radar for all we know. So allow yourself to notice where you might be comparing to other people, whether it's their thoughts or whether it's their skill or whether it's what somebody said. And then allow yourself to release that. Allow yourself to let that go. And I know we often will say, oh, well, that's good advice. I'm here to help you to know how. So if you're not sure how, call me, text me, connect with me. And we can set up a time to be able to do it together and practice it so you can learn how. And then the second step we were talking about is noticing the expectation of your skill set. If you don't have the skills you need to get there, then it's really unfair to beat yourself up. It's like asking a baby to go get some milk and they're still in the crib. You kind of got to give them some time to learn how to drive. So it's important to notice, are you in a space where you haven't gotten those skills yet? If so, that's not proof. That's not proof that you're not good enough. That's proof that you still need those skills. And as a life coach, a relationship coach, independent living coach, I help people with different skills that they need to learn, whether it's communicating, whether it's setting boundaries, whether it's taking action in a goal, or you're not supposed to know how to do those things by yourself, right? We didn't learn how to walk by ourselves. We didn't learn how to eat by ourselves. We didn't learn how to dress by ourselves. We learn those things from others. And that's why it's wonderful to have a coach. Because just like any sport, just like life is a sport, You see as a coach, like when you guys are watching the games, you're like, oh, don't do it like that, do it like this, because you can see it from a distance. You can see it where they're like right here and they're looking at the team and they can't see everything that's going on. The same thing works for us. And so that's why it's so important to allow yourself to ask for help getting the skills that you need instead of beating yourself up thinking you're supposed to have them already. Remind yourself, that's like looking at a child telling, you should already be working. You know, you're 8. It's time. It's just not possible until they get it. So allow yourself to be more kind and tender with yourself and realize you're in the process. You're growing. You're getting it. It's going to take a little time. And you also need to get guidance and support from a mentor or a coach or a therapist or a pastor or whatever it is that you need in that moment. So giving yourself that opportunity to get those skills removes the proof of I'm not good enough because I don't have those skills. Then lastly, expectation. Taking a look at the expectations that you've put on yourself. Maybe they were fair, but if you haven't met them, then they're not. The thing to realize is every person grows at their own pace. And if you have been growing your butt off and you're not where you think you should be, then take a look at that expectation because instead you're just shooting all over yourself. And that's not fair. That's unkind. That's painful. That creates all of that not good enough. When you can allow yourself to instead be able to say to yourself, I've been doing the best that I knew how, and I've been doing better and better with every year as I grow and mature. When you speak that into your life, the shoulds are gone. You can still set what you want. You can still set your intention. You can still set your goal. You can still have your missions in life, but being fair with the timing. If you're doing everything you can to get there and you're not there yet, then there is no fair way to be able to say to yourself, you're not good enough. The fair thing to say to yourself is, I actually expected myself to get to something that was going to take me a bit longer. And allowing yourself to realize that everything you've accomplished along the way is part of your journey. Now that one can take a little bit to absorb because if we're so used to practicing these ways, they are so forefront and you might have so much proof. And again, that's why I do what I do to help people kind of break down those limiting beliefs, break down those truths, those quote truths that they thought were true, that they're really not true. But if you believe it's true, then it ends up being true. So as you begin to break it up, both on a conscious level and a subconscious level, you start to be able to say to yourself, well, you know what? I wouldn't expect someone else, if they're doing the best they can, I would say, hey, you're doing the best you can. Don't say those things about yourself. That's so painful. You're tearing yourself up. And the great thing about this work is as much as you would want someone else to get that, you would want to do it for them, and you can't because they have to learn it. You can do it for you. You can get it, and you can shift it, and you can change it. So you can allow yourself to take a look and go, oh, I was using that proof of how someone else is doing what I want to do and thinking I'm not good enough because I'm not that. I get to realize I get to stop that and practice something new. And if I don't know how, I get to know it's okay to ask for help. I get to make sure that I'm looking at where's my skill set. And if my skill set's not where it needs to be to reach that place, then I'm going to look at what I need. Do I need more communication? Do I need to learn how to set boundaries? Do I need to learn how to let go of these things that are holding me back that I'm not sure of? When I'm working with my clients, there's a lot of subconscious belief patterns that are happening. Like when you're watching a player out on the field, you're like, whoa, they keep doing that. They're sort of, juking to the right. Why do they keep doing that? And you might notice something's going on with their body or something's going on with their foot, and they're not noticing, but you can notice. The same thing works with our thinking. When we're speaking, we're not thinking about everything that we're saying, but someone else who's listening, who's been practicing listening, can go, did you realize that you're saying that? And that would come from that belief. Did you realize that you're practicing this behavior or this movement and it's getting you this result. And so it just allows to be able to go, oh, I didn't realize that's what I was making up about myself. I didn't realize that was the movement or the pattern that I was doing. And it just helps you to break it up on a conscious and subconscious level to such a way that it cleans it up. It helps you to see I was practicing some stuff that wasn't good for me. And then lastly, that goes right into expectation. So realizing that you've had some expectation that you've put on yourself, and maybe you didn't put it on yourself. Maybe someone else put it on you, and you've just been practicing it for some time. So maybe a parent said, well, you should do it like this. Or maybe they didn't even say it, but you watched them do it like that. And so then your mind says, well, that's the way it needs to be done. I'm supposed to suffer. I'm supposed to put everybody else first. I'm supposed to not care about myself and care about others. I'm supposed to be humble and let people do and say and not stand up because that's not nice. Because we've learned it from someone else. And so as you allow yourself to begin noticing, hey there, Danny Gray, so good to see you. So as we're noticing that we are doing these things, we can start to change them. The issue is we often don't notice. And so when we have somebody that goes, hey, I'm noticing this, let's practice some ways around that. Let's take a look at that neuro-linguistic programming. So what is it that you're thinking that has you saying that has you doing that? Instead of, I can't believe I'm doing that. Oh, this is so stupid. I can't you're just, oh, you're failing all the time. You're just not where you should be. This is just too much. I'm just going to give up. Or it could sound like, I've got to keep going. I've got to keep going. I'm just going to keep going. I'm never giving up. I'm pushing through. I'm pushing, pushing. And it's not coming so much from ease. It's coming from intensity. It's coming from like so much stress that is stressing out your mind and your heart, and your blood pressure is always up. Instead, we can create a space of calm. Instead, we can create a space of, hey, this is just a thought. I can work with this. This thought just creates this experience in my body, and I wasn't aware of it. Now that I'm aware of it, I can change it. I can take a new action. And it allows you to begin to make some changes at a conscious and subconscious level as you're relaxing your mind, relaxing your body, and looking at these things without judgment, without criticism, just looking at these things like, oh, that's the way I was thinking about that. I didn't realize that. Because that's not the way people listen to each other. We listen to each other usually to think about what we're going to say next. We're not usually listening to each other to notice, hey, how is it that you're thinking that? Or, that's actually creating this experience. Did you realize that? What you said you didn't want, that thought's actually creating what you didn't want. So let's take a look at that thought. And it just helps to shift. So it's really cool. And then with that, you can create an action plan. So you create what are your next steps to be able to make that change, and then you're heading towards your goal, and then you've got these challenges out of the way. It's so cool. Yeah. And the best thing is, you get questions. You start to question yourself instead of, why am I doing that? Or what's wrong with me? Instead, you're asking yourself new questions. Okay, so instead of comparing myself to others and putting myself down, I get to compare where they're at and where I want to be and how they got there and how I can do that. And instead of telling myself I'm not good enough because I'm not there yet, I'm going to see what skills I need. And instead of having an expectation that I should be here already and I'm a failure because I'm not, I can be kind with myself and realize I've been busting my hump. And I just had an expectation that I should, and I was shoulding on myself all over the place. And I'm releasing that expectation to I should have had it now to I'm working on it, and this is where I'm going to get it. I'm going to be acknowledging every step along the way of the progress I'm making. So I feel good and proud of myself instead of feeling condemning and not good enough all the time. So I hope these tools help you. And just so you know, I've been practicing these things myself with my coaches, and I've been practicing these things myself with my business, and I've been practicing these things with as I'm sharing and helping coach my clients and practicing it with them. So this stuff takes practice. You can't just do it because you've got the good advice. So if you feel like you need practice, get a practice partner. Get a coach to help guide you as well. If it need, if you've got a lot of deeper stuff that needs help, get a therapist or somebody that can help you. Get your pastor. Get the supports that you need. So number 4, I didn't include this, but allow yourself to ask for support. Just like you help people with what it is that you do, let other people help you to accomplish these areas. Because you're great at what you do and they're great at what they do. So that way you're getting the support, the practice, and the help that you need. And if you just want to listen to this recording and watch it over and over and watch the recordings that I do daily and that I have been doing over the years, and there's other coaches and there's other folks that are guiding, and just get that support because you deserve it. Get those skills because you deserve it. Realign those expectations because you deserve it. And then you're stepping into your goals and you're stepping into your future and you're stepping into your success. And not good enough doesn't even get to be a part of it because you're always good enough. You're always good. And you get to speak that into your life. Speak it now with me. I am good enough. And then as soon as that feels great, then you're just going to say, I am good. I am good. I am doing amazing. I am doing my best each and every day. And sometimes our best looks a little bit different within each day, but you're still giving your best that you can within that day. So know that about yourself. Know that truth. Know that as you go through today and Tender Tuesday, being kinder with yourself, understanding what you need, understanding these thoughts, so you can break up old thought patterns and shift into new thought patterns. You guys take care of yourselves. Know that you're loved, whether you like it or not. And consider yourself hugged. Bring it in all the way. You take care of you, and I will see you tomorrow for Wise Wednesday. Ciao for now.